In the grimdark universe of Warhammer 40K, where the Imperium of man stands as the last bastion against the endless tide of chaos, there are places steeped in mystery where devotion and despair intertwine. One such place is the Shrine World, a sacred realm that exists at the intersection of worship, history, and the unknown. These planets, scattered throughout the galaxy, are known for their deep spiritual significance, often dedicated to the Emperor or other venerated figures. But what lies beneath their surface? What secrets do these worlds hold that might alter the fate of humanity or unravel the very fabric of faith? Shrine worlds are more than mere centers of pilgrimage or sanctuaries for the faithful. They are enmeshed in layers of ritual and tradition, often harboring ancient relics, hidden knowledge, and enigmatic powers. To the uninitiated, they may seem like simple religious sites, places where people travel to offer prayers, seek absolution, or pay homage. But behind their majestic cathedrals and towering statues, there are dark, forgotten truths. From their distant orbit, they seem serene, almost untouched by the violence that plagues the rest of the galaxy. Yet, beneath that peaceful exterior, the reality of life on a shrine world is fraught with dangers, both known and unknown. These worlds are not isolated from the horrors of the 41st millennium. They may be caught in the crossfire of galactic wars, haunted by ancient powers, or even controlled by factions with their own hidden agendas. The people who live on these planets, whether they are monks, warriors, or pilgrims, are often unaware of the deeper forces at play within their sacred domains. The shrine worlds might appear tranquil, but their true history and the threats that lurk beneath their surface are far from it. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of the shrine worlds, we must first understand the context that has shaped them. What role do they play in the grand tapestry of the Imperium? How have they come to be such focal points of faith and mystery? And most importantly, what is it that they are hiding, waiting for the right moment to reveal their secrets? This is a journey into the heart of devotion, power, and the unknown, a journey into the very soul of the Imperium, where the line between the sacred and the profane is dangerously thin. The shrine worlds are not merely planets, but are shaped by the intricate forces of various factions, each contributing in its unique way to the creation, maintenance, and worship that permeates these worlds. These factions do not merely oversee or rule shrine worlds. They are integral to the world's identity and the ongoing mystery that surrounds them. Among the key players involved, the Imperium's central powers, religious orders, and hidden factions play crucial roles, with each leaving a distinctive imprint. The Adeptus Ministorum, the ecclesiarchy, is perhaps the most direct and influential faction in the creation and life of a shrine world. This institution is responsible for the worship and devotion that define the very essence of these worlds. The ecclesiarchy enforces religious doctrine, organizes pilgrimages, and ensures that the shrine world is a beacon of faith for the Imperium. It is their will that determines the importance of a shrine world and the specific figures or events that these worlds may honor. They control the sacred relics, the ceremonies, and the canon of saints, guiding the people in their devotion to the Emperor and the Imperium. The Adeptus Ministorum's involvement in the creation of a shrine world is often both spiritual and political, as they seek to secure the loyalty of the local populace through faith, while maintaining their own influence within the broader imperial structure. The Adeptus Mechanicus, with its own devotion to the Omnissiah, plays a secondary but equally crucial role in the development of shrine worlds. Their contributions are often overlooked, yet they are indispensable. The Mechanicus is responsible for maintaining the technological infrastructure of these worlds, ensuring that the shrines, cathedrals, and other sacred edifices function properly. They are the custodians of sacred technologies and the mysterious devices that often lie hidden within the depths of shrine worlds. These technologies, while sometimes worshipped as relics, are often products of lost knowledge and ancient machinery that holds untold power. The The Mechanicus, always eager to explore the secrets of the past, seeks to unearth and preserve such relics, further entwining the shrine worlds in the web of mystery that surrounds them. The Imperial Guard, or Astra Militarum, is another faction involved in the protection and defense of shrine worlds. While their role is largely one of security, their influence cannot be underestimated. In times of war, shrine worlds become strategic points of contention, and the Imperium's military forces must step in to defend them. Whether against the forces of chaos, Xenos incursions, or internal rebellion, the Guard ensures that the world's sacred status remains intact, even if the world itself is embroiled in conflict. Their presence is often a reminder of the constant threat facing the Imperium, as these worlds are never truly safe from the dangers of the galaxy. The Astra Militarum's role extends beyond defense, as they also serve as a physical manifestation of the Imperium's might, underscoring the importance of the shrine world as a symbol of faith and power. In some cases, the Adeptus Astartes, the Space Marines, may also become involved in the protection or oversight of shrine worlds. While their direct role is less common, their presence is a powerful one. These warriors of the Emperor's will are often called upon to intervene in times of great crisis, either in defense of a shrine world or to investigate a potential corruption within. Their involvement, though rare, is a reminder of the importance the Emperor places on these sacred worlds. The Space Marines may be tasked with rooting out heresy, fighting off dark forces, or ensuring that the shrine world remains a symbol of purity and devotion. There are also the Inquisitors, agents of the Imperium's secret police, who operate in the shadows. Their involvement in shrine worlds is often covert, as they seek out potential heresies, hidden threats, or anomalies that might undermine the stability of the Imperium. While the Ecclesiarchy and the Mechanicus focus on the visible and the divine, the Inquisitors dig deeper, uncovering the darker, hidden truths of the shrine worlds. Their role is to root out corruption and maintain the purity of the faith, but their methods are often secretive and ruthless. They may investigate the populace, the local leaders, or even the very fabric of the shrine world's religious practices in search of any trace of corruption or heresy. The Inquisitors are ever watchful, ensuring that the shrine worlds do not fall prey to the unseen forces that lurk at the edge of the Imperium's perception. The local population of a shrine world is another crucial faction in its development. These people, whether they are pilgrims, monks, or even guardsmen, are the lifeblood of the shrine world. They maintain the day-to-day activities, assist in the rituals, and ensure the continued flow of offerings and devotion. They are often unaware of the greater mysteries hidden within their world, but they are the ones who carry the weight of faith on their shoulders. Some may see the world as a place of salvation, while others may view it as a prison, a place where they are bound by duty and tradition. The populace, despite their devotion, are often the most vulnerable to the darker aspects of life on a shrine world, as they are caught between their faith and the shadowy forces that seek to exploit or corrupt them. Finally, the shrine world's custodians, those charged with its upkeep and protection, are an essential part of the planet's existence. These individuals may be members of the Ecclesiarchy, the Mechanicus, or even independent sects or orders that have sworn an oath to protect the world and its secrets. They are often the ones who maintain the sacred sites, guard the relics, and oversee the pilgrims who come to seek spiritual guidance. These custodians play a dual role as both protectors and keepers of the mysteries, guarding against the forces that would seek to desecrate or uncover the truths hidden within the world. In sum, the shrine world is shaped by a multitude of factions, each with its own agenda, purpose, and influence. From the religious devotion of the Ecclesiarchy to the technological oversight of the Mechanicus, from the military presence of the Astra Militarum to the covert investigations of the Inquisition, these factions work both in harmony and in tension, shaping the life and mysteries of these sacred worlds. While their roles may seem distinct, they are all part of a greater tapestry, one that binds these worlds in a delicate balance between faith, power, and secrecy. The creation of shrine worlds is tied to the ever-evolving story of the Imperium and its attempts to preserve and expand its influence. In the aftermath of the Great Crusade, when the Imperium sought to unite all of humanity under its banner, a need arose for places that could both symbolize the Emperor's divine status and serve as focal points for spiritual and military strength. The shrine worlds were conceived as sacred realms, where relics, holy sites, and pilgrimages could be established to solidify the Emperor's role as the central figure in the Imperium's faith. The notion of shrine worlds began to take form after the Imperium's expansion reached certain critical thresholds. As the Imperium advanced into uncharted territories of the galaxy, it encountered civilizations steeped in ancient religious practices. In some instances, the Emperor was revered as a god even before the ecclesiarchy officially declared his divinity. These regions were often far from the heart of the Imperium and left largely to their own devices, yet they became important as symbols of the Emperor's reach. Shrine worlds thus became both religious and political tools, intended to cultivate loyalty, consolidate power, and ensure the continued dominance of the Imperium over its vast territories. Over time, the role of shrine worlds evolved as the Imperium found itself fighting wars on multiple fronts. During the tumultuous periods that followed the Great Crusade, such as the Age of Apostasy and the periods of conflict that followed, the shrine worlds became more entrenched in the fabric of imperial life. These worlds were often seen as places of refuge from the galactic violence that ravaged the Imperium, but their true purpose was much deeper. They were meant to serve as bastions of faith, ensuring that the Emperor's light would shine even in the darkest corners of the galaxy. The rise of the ecclesiarchy, particularly during the later periods of the Imperium's history, marked a shift in the development of shrine worlds. As the ecclesiarchy gained greater control over religious doctrine and the Emperor's worship, they began to take an active role in shaping the shrine worlds. They built upon the foundations laid by previous generations, constructing monumental cathedrals, shrines, and temples dedicated to the Emperor and his saints. The existence of these sacred worlds became central to the ecclesiarchy's mission to spread the Emperor's word, particularly in regions far from the capital of the Imperium. However, the creation of these worlds was not without its challenges. As the Imperium's dominance grew, so too did the complexities of maintaining control over such distant and often isolated territories. The rise of external threats, such as the incursions of chaos, Xenos races, and other dark forces, created a constant pressure on the shrine worlds. These planets, while centers of spiritual devotion, were not immune to the dangers of the galaxy. Many shrine worlds were caught in the crossfire of larger imperial campaigns, leading to destruction and loss of sacred relics. Despite these challenges, the importance of these worlds only increased as they continued to serve as symbols of the Emperor's power and as hubs for the faithful. Throughout the millennia, the Imperium's reliance on these worlds grew, and the ecclesiarchy's power within the Imperium strengthened. This period saw an increase in pilgrimages as millions of faithful made their way to these worlds to worship and seek the Emperor's favor. This influx of people helped reinforce the power of the ecclesiarchy and solidified the shrine worlds as critical elements of imperial life. At the same time, the shrine worlds became repositories of ancient knowledge, with relics from the past carefully preserved and hidden away. These relics, some of which had origins predating the Imperium itself, became central to the ongoing mystery of the shrine worlds. Many of the faithful believed that these relics held the key to understanding the true nature of the Emperor's divinity and the fate of the Imperium. Yet, not all shrine worlds were as serene as their spiritual purpose suggested. The development of these worlds was often complicated by the political and military realities of the Imperium. The growing influence of the Mechanicus, the rise of the Adeptus Astartes, and the ever-watchful Inquisition all had a hand in shaping the shrine worlds, often pulling them into larger conflicts that threatened to expose their secrets. The Mechanicus, in particular, had a vested interest in exploring the ancient technologies found within the shrine worlds. The relics, many of which were of ancient Terran origin or older still, attracted the attention of those who sought to unlock their power. The Adeptus Astartes, while not typically engaged in the day-to-day life of shrine worlds, were sometimes called upon to protect these sites from external threats or internal corruption. The Inquisition, as ever, maintained a covert presence, monitoring the worlds for signs of heresy or dark influence that could compromise the integrity of the Emperor's worship. The constant tension between the religious, military, and political factions of the Imperium ensured that shrine worlds were never truly peaceful. Their creation was, in many ways, a necessary response to the growing chaos of the galaxy, but it also introduced new complexities that would shape their future. The existence of these worlds was both a sign of the Imperium's faith and its desperation. In the face of constant threats, and with the knowledge that the Emperor's reign was far from secure, the Imperium needed these worlds as both symbols and bastions. The shrine worlds became places where the faithful could gather, but they were also battlegrounds, both spiritual and physical, where forces of darkness sought to corrupt or destroy the Emperor's legacy. As the millennia passed, the original intent behind the creation of shrine worlds faded into legend. Few remembered the exact reasons behind their construction, and fewer still understood the true significance of the secrets they held. What began as simple religious outposts had transformed into sprawling, enigmatic worlds, each with its own history, its own purpose, and its own mysteries. The creation of these worlds was driven by the Imperium's need for symbols of faith, but it was also a reflection of the Imperium's ongoing struggle to maintain control over an ever-expanding, ever-threatening galaxy. The shrine worlds would become a critical part of this larger struggle, serving both as monuments to the Emperor's divinity and as powerful focal points in the ongoing conflict that defined the Imperium's existence. In the face of growing instability and the dark forces that constantly encroached upon the Imperium, the shrine worlds continued to serve as bastions of faith and power. But the forces that shaped them, both seen and unseen, remained hidden, waiting for the right moment to reveal the full extent of their influence. It was only a matter of time before the true nature of these worlds would be uncovered, and the secrets they held would come to light. As the shrine world began its development, the first key stage was the establishment of the foundational faith and religious practices that would define the planet. The earliest settlers were often followers of the Emperor, seeking to create a sanctuary dedicated to worship, but they were also keen to reinforce the power of the Imperium in a region far from its core. This marked the beginning of the world's religious transformation. Initially, the shrine world was a simple site, often built around relics or sacred locations. These areas were considered holy, and their significance grew as more pilgrims made their way to the world, seeking solace and answers. With the growing influence of the ecclesiarchy, the shrine world soon became a center of religious authority. The ecclesiarchy's involvement was instrumental in turning these worlds from mere places of worship into focal points of imperial control. Cathedrals, shrines, and temples were built to honor the emperor and other venerated figures, with the goal of expanding the reach of the faith. The architecture of these structures was grand, designed to impress and inspire awe in all who visited. As more temples and holy sites were constructed, the shrine world became increasingly revered, drawing pilgrims not only for spiritual reasons, but also for the political weight it carried. The world's role as a religious center made it a powerful symbol of the emperor's divine authority. In parallel with the religious development, the strategic significance of the shrine world began to unfold. The Imperium recognized the need for these worlds to serve not just as spiritual hubs, but as strongholds in the galaxy's ever-turbulent environment. As the Imperium expanded its borders, it faced more threats from both internal and external forces. While the shrine worlds were primarily seen as safe havens for the faithful, they also became key points of military and political importance. The Adeptus Mechanicus played a growing role in ensuring that these worlds were properly fortified and equipped to defend themselves, as they were not immune to the threats of war. Over time, many of these worlds saw an increase in the presence of the Astra Militarum, with regiments being stationed there to defend the sacred sites from the ever-present dangers of the galaxy. Another key phase in the development of the Shrine world was the growing integration of the Mechanicus. Their arrival marked a turning point in the way these worlds were understood and managed. While the ecclesiarchy focused on the faith and religious practices, the Mechanicus brought their technological prowess, ensuring that the world's infrastructure remained intact and functioning. They not only maintained the religious sites, but also discovered and preserved technological relics that were often considered sacred. These artifacts, relics of a long-forgotten age, held both spiritual and practical significance. The Mechanicus sought to study and sometimes reverse engineer these ancient technologies, hoping to unlock knowledge that could further the Imperium's survival in a galaxy plagued by warfare. The role of the Astra Militarum in the development of the Shrine world became more pronounced as the need for defense grew. Though initially the Shrine worlds were protected by small garrisons of local troops, the growing threat of external forces saw the Imperium increase military presence. With their proximity to the front lines of the galaxy's major wars, these worlds were vulnerable to attack. The presence of the Astra Militarum was not just to guard the physical sites, but also to ensure that the world's strategic importance was not lost. These soldiers became the first line of defense against the enemies of the Imperium, though many did not realize the full extent of what they were protecting. For the inhabitants of the Shrine world, the day-to-day life was shaped by a combination of devotion and military readiness. As the centuries passed, the Shrine world began to acquire its own unique identity. Pilgrimages grew in number as more individuals sought to visit the world's holy sites. Some came seeking healing or spiritual guidance, while others hoped to witness miracles or commune with the Emperor. The Shrine world became a place of great power, both spiritually and politically, as the presence of the faithful and the prestige of the ecclesiarchy elevated the world's significance. In turn, this influx of pilgrims created a unique ecosystem of religious orders, charitable organizations, and military forces, all working to maintain the sanctity of the world. These pilgrims, often from different parts of the galaxy, brought with them their own customs, traditions, and beliefs, further adding to the richness and diversity of the Shrine world's culture. Despite its role as a beacon of faith, the Shrine world's existence was not without conflict. Internal strife, often instigated by rival factions within the ecclesiarchy or by the influence of outside forces, threatened to tear apart the delicate balance between the world's religious and military functions. The tension between the ecclesiastical leadership and the military garrisons was a constant undercurrent, as both groups sought to maintain control over the planet. The Adeptus Mechanicus, meanwhile, had their own interests in the world's ancient technologies, sometimes creating conflicts with the religious leadership. This internal conflict mirrored the broader struggles within the Imperium, where power was never consolidated in a single faction for long. The development of the Shrine world also coincided with the rise of the Inquisition's interest. As the years wore on and the Shrine world's religious influence grew, the Inquisition began to scrutinize the planet more closely. Though the ecclesiarchy and the Mechanicus held a strong grip on the planet, the Inquisition's covert agents began infiltrating the world, searching for heretical activity or any signs of corruption. While many of the faithful were unaware of this secretive watch, the Inquisition's influence ensured that no one faction could hold absolute power. They were the unseen hand, probing for any hidden threats and ensuring that the Shrine world remained a force for purity and devotion. Through these stages of development, the Shrine world became a place where devotion, military strategy, and political power collided. While its purpose was initially spiritual, its strategic importance could not be ignored. Over time, the world's complex structure evolved into a microcosm of the larger struggles facing the Imperium. It became a focal point for the Emperor's faithful, yet its existence was shaped by the constant balancing act between faith and warfare, religion and politics. Each new phase in its development added another layer to the mystery and complexity of the shrine world, turning it into a place of both reverence and secrets, a beacon of light in a galaxy that was far from peaceful. The events that led to this development ensured that the shrine world would remain a place of both awe and trepidation, a symbol of the Imperium's struggle for survival and its need for something greater than itself. As the centuries passed, the shrine world remained a powerful symbol of faith and the Emperor's divinity, its secrets hidden beneath layers of ritual and reverence. However, an event occurred that would forever alter the fate of this sacred world. This pivotal moment came when an ancient relic, long hidden beneath the surface of the world, was uncovered during a routine excavation by a group of Adeptus Mechanicus priests. Initially, the artifact was believed to be just another relic of the past, but as soon as it was uncovered, it became clear that this was no ordinary object. It was a key, an object capable of unlocking far more than its material form suggested. This artifact had been buried for millennia, hidden away by those who had long since passed. Its existence was not known to the majority of the inhabitants, and even the ecclesiarchy had long forgotten its significance. It was a relic from the earliest days of the Imperium, predating the official founding of the ecclesiarchy. What made this object so dangerous, so extraordinary, was not its age or even its craftsmanship. It was its connection to a long-forgotten event. The key was tied to a secret kept by the Emperor himself, one that had been concealed from the populace for centuries. This secret, hidden away in the deepest archives of the Adeptus Mechanicus, had the potential to alter the foundation of imperial faith. When the artifact was unearthed, it was immediately transported to the highest levels of the Imperium's religious and military leadership. The Mechanicus, initially intrigued by the artifact's origins, soon discovered its true nature. This was not merely a relic of faith. It was a key that could unlock a hidden chamber located deep beneath the shrine world. This chamber, sealed off for generations, was said to house records that had been erased from the Imperium's history. These records, once revealed, would expose a deeply troubling truth about the Emperor's true intentions. At first, the discovery of the chamber was treated as a matter of great curiosity, but it soon became clear that this was no ordinary find. The chamber contained records that detailed a long-forgotten mission initiated by the Emperor before the start of the Great Crusade. The record suggested that the Emperor had sought to create an alternative form of governance, one that would have allowed for greater autonomy and self-determination for the various factions of the Imperium. This was a vision that conflicted directly with the centralizing authoritarian structure that had been put in place after the Emperor's ascension to the throne. As the discovery of this chamber began to spread through the higher ranks of the Adeptus Mechanicus and the ecclesiarchy, tensions flared. The records contained not just the Emperor's thoughts on governance, but also hints of something far darker, an experiment that had been conducted in the deepest secrecy. It appeared that the Emperor had once sought to find a way to harness the power of the warp in a controlled manner, with the goal of using it to extend the Imperium's reach far beyond the limits of conventional technology. This was a goal that had been abandoned, erased from history, and denied by those who shaped the current narrative of the Imperium. The implications of this discovery were far-reaching. For centuries, the ecclesiarchy had built the Emperor's divinity into the cornerstone of the Imperium's religious and political structure. The Emperor was worshipped as the eternal protector of humanity, a godlike figure who had sacrificed everything for the Imperium. The revelation that the Emperor had once considered using the very forces that now represented chaos and destruction was a profound shock to the leadership of the Imperium. If word of this discovery were to spread, it could shatter the faith of billions and destroy the foundation of the ecclesiarchy's power. The discovery forced a decision to be made. Those who had uncovered the truth now had a difficult choice to make: reveal the secret and risk the collapse of the Imperium's religious order, or keep the knowledge buried and maintain the stability of the current system. The conflict within the leadership was immediate and intense. The ecclesiarchy, feeling threatened by the possibility of a crisis of faith, pushed for the suppression of the discovery. The Inquisition, always vigilant for threats to the Imperium's unity, began its own investigation, seeking to root out any potential heresy that might have emerged as a result of the revelation. At the same time, the Adeptus Mechanicus faced its own dilemma. Some of its members, particularly those with a vested interest in rediscovering the lost technologies of the past, saw the discovery as an opportunity to unlock new powers. The record suggested that the Emperor had, in his earlier days, experimented with the warp in ways that could offer the Imperium unimaginable technological advancements. There was a faction within the Mechanicus that believed this knowledge could be the key to securing humanity's survival in the face of the galaxy's many dangers. But others within the Mechanicus, particularly those who adhered strictly to the teachings of the Omnissiah, viewed the Emperor's earlier experiments as a dangerous heresy. They feared that delving too deeply into the forbidden knowledge could lead to disastrous consequences. The decision to suppress or reveal the secret ultimately came down to a matter of control. Those in power realized that the revelation of such a significant truth would threaten the very structure of the Imperium. The ecclesiarchy, working with the Mechanicus and the Inquisition, came to a consensus that the secret would remain hidden. The chamber was sealed once more, and the knowledge contained within it was erased from the records. Only a select few, those in the highest echelons of power, knew of its existence, and even they vowed to never speak of it again. For the rest of the Imperium, life continued as it had before. The shrine world remained a place of pilgrimage and devotion, its role as a sacred site unchanged. But beneath the surface, the discovery of the Emperor's lost vision lingered, a secret kept from the galaxy that had the potential to undo everything the Imperium had built. The decision to bury the truth was made not out of fear of the Emperor's original plan, but out of a deeper, more profound concern that the Imperium was built on a lie. The truth, if revealed, could have torn apart the very foundation of the Emperor's worship, and with it, the stability of the entire Imperium. Thus, the shrine world, with all its reverence and faith, continued to serve as a symbol of devotion, but it did so under the shadow of a truth that was never meant to be known. The secret of what the Emperor once sought, buried beneath the surface, would remain hidden for as long as the Imperium stood. And yet, the very act of concealing the truth planted the seed of doubt, a question that would linger in the hearts of those who were entrusted with its secret. What if the Emperor had been wrong? What if the path to salvation was not the one the Imperium had chosen? What if the answers had been hidden from humanity, lost to the tides of time, and buried beneath the weight of religious dogma? If the secret hidden within the shrine world were to ever come to light, its consequences would reverberate through every corner of the Imperium, shaking the very foundations of its political, religious, and military structures. The exposure of the Emperor's earlier ambitions, his desire to harness the powers of the warp for purposes other than the purest of faith-driven goals, would forever alter humanity's perception of its ruler, and consequently, the entire Imperium. Such a revelation would ignite a crisis of faith on an unprecedented scale, one that could fracture the Imperium into factions, each with its own vision of the future. The impact would be both immediate and far-reaching, affecting not only the spiritual but also the very survival of the Imperium. The first and most immediate consequence of the secret being revealed would be the erosion of the Emperor's divine image. The Emperor had long been worshipped as a god, an infallible, omnipotent being whose will shaped the destiny of humanity. To many, he was the eternal protector, a figure of unwavering devotion whose sacrifice ensured the survival of the human race. But the discovery that he had once sought to control the chaotic powers of the warp, the same forces that now embody the greatest threats to the Imperium, would shatter this image. The idea that the Emperor, who was believed to be the eternal beacon of purity and order, had once entertained the use of such dangerous forces would be a deep betrayal for billions who had given their lives in service to him. This revelation could cause a massive loss of faith among the populace, as they would question whether the Emperor truly understood the nature of the universe and if his supposed divinity was, in fact, the result of a misguided pursuit of power. The impact on the ecclesiarchy would be equally devastating. The role of the ecclesiarchy, the heart of the Imperium's religious life, would be fundamentally threatened. The ecclesiarchy had long capitalized on the idea of the Emperor's absolute divinity, cultivating a narrative that tied humanity's survival and continued existence to unwavering faith. If the secret of the Emperor's earlier intentions were exposed, the ecclesiarchy would lose its standing as the sole arbiter of religious truth. It would no longer be able to claim the Emperor's absolute purity and divine purpose, as the very foundation of its belief system would be called into question. The vast network of priests, bishops, and cardinals who had made a career out of enforcing the Emperor's will would find themselves powerless in the face of public disillusionment. The faith of billions could collapse, and with it, the control the ecclesiarchy had maintained over imperial society for millennia. The political consequences of this revelation would be just as profound. The Emperor's once unquestioned authority, the central pillar around which the Imperium had been built, would be undermined. In a society where religious devotion and political loyalty are often intertwined, the weakening of faith in the Emperor would cause ripples of uncertainty throughout the imperial bureaucracy. The political leaders who relied on the Emperor's godlike status to legitimize their rule could find themselves exposed, as their authority would no longer have the same divine justification. This would open the door for dissent and rebellion, as powerful factions within the Imperium might seek to replace the Emperor's divine mandate with something else, perhaps a more secular system of governance, or even an attempt to overthrow the ecclesiarchy entirely. The political stability of the Imperium, already fragile due to the constant pressures of war and internal corruption, would be further strained by the crisis of faith that would follow the revelation. The military consequences of the secret being revealed would be equally destabilizing. The Adeptus Astartes, the Emperor's own space marines, would be forced to confront the very nature of their existence. These superhuman warriors, who had been created to serve the Emperor's will, might now question the legitimacy of that service. Their entire purpose for millennia had been to protect and defend the Emperor, and in doing so, they had often been portrayed as paragons of loyalty and purity. But if the Emperor's original intentions were shown to be less than pure, would these soldiers continue to serve a ruler they could no longer revere? Some chapters might remain loyal, clinging to the idea of their sacred duty, while others could be driven to doubt or, worse, defection. The possibility of rebellion within the Space Marine chapters, each one fiercely independent and with its own beliefs, is not beyond the realm of possibility. The question of loyalty would become more complex than ever before, with chapters possibly splitting over differing views on the Emperor's legacy. The Inquisition, always the first to root out heresy, would find itself in a precarious position. The Inquisition's task was to protect the Imperium from threats, both external and internal, and to maintain the purity of the Emperor's faith. However, the revelation of the Emperor's secret would force the Inquisition to confront its own internal contradictions. Some within the Inquisition might view the Emperor's earlier plans as a grave heresy, a betrayal that required immediate action. Others, more pragmatic or power-hungry, might see the revelation as an opportunity to reshape the Imperium in their own image, using the chaos to advance their own agendas. A schism within the Inquisition could tear the organization apart, with factions fighting over whether to suppress the truth or use it as a tool to reshape the galaxy. Perhaps most dangerously, the warp itself would become an even greater threat. The Emperor's experiments with the warp, though abandoned, would serve as a potent reminder of humanity's fragile relationship with the forces beyond reality. As the secret of his experimentation became public knowledge, factions who worshipped the Chaos Gods could see this as a sign of weakness in the Emperor's defenses, and they might seek to exploit it. Cults dedicated to the chaos. Gods could rise in prominence, capitalizing on the crisis of faith to further their own ends. The forces of chaos, ever seeking to undermine the Imperium, would see this as an opportunity to spread corruption and sow discord, and the reaction of the Imperium could be to tighten its grip, leading to an even more oppressive regime. The very fabric of reality, always strained by the presence of the warp, would become even more unstable, with the threat of demonic incursions growing as the Imperium's attention becomes divided. Economically, the impact of this revelation would be staggering. As faith in the Emperor's divinity faltered, pilgrimages to shrine worlds and holy sites would diminish, draining the wealth that had been funneled into the coffers of the ecclesiarchy for centuries. The economic system that relied heavily on the devotion of the faithful and the wealth generated by sacred relics and sites would begin to collapse. The Imperium's power would weaken as its economic infrastructure crumbled, leaving it vulnerable to both internal revolt and external threats. In a galaxy already embroiled in constant war, the loss of economic stability would further stretch the resources of the Imperium, making it more difficult to maintain its vast military apparatus. Ultimately, the revelation of the Emperor's secret would lead to a galaxy in turmoil. The unity of the Imperium, held together for centuries by the belief in the Emperor's infallibility, would fracture. The balance between religious devotion, military might, and political authority would collapse, leaving humanity vulnerable to the many enemies that encircle it. The Imperium's ability to fight back against the forces of darkness, both internal and external, would be hampered by its own divisions. As factions within the Imperium vie for control, humanity's long struggle for survival would face its most significant challenge yet, one that may very well determine the future of the human race. The unique aspects of the Shrine Worlds have long been a subject of intense debate and fascination within the Warhammer 40K community. Beyond their role as spiritual bastions or religious symbols, these worlds are often seen as repositories of lost knowledge, hidden relics, and strange, unexplained phenomena. It is not just the faith that draws pilgrims to these planets. It is the mystery surrounding them, the enigmatic secrets that may lie within their sacred halls, and the dark history that often lurks beneath the surface. These aspects have contributed to the Shrine Worlds becoming such a compelling and intriguing topic in the wider lore. One of the most frequently discussed aspects is the relationship between the Shrine Worlds and the Emperor's supposed divinity. These worlds serve as focal points of worship, but the question remains, are they truly what they seem? The Emperor is revered as a god, but what if the Shrine Worlds in all their holiness are just monuments to a man who sought power, control, and even transcendence through dangerous, forbidden methods? There is much speculation about how much the Emperor or the ecclesiarchy intentionally manipulated the belief system around these worlds to solidify power. The fan community often discusses the possibility that the Emperor's divine status was carefully crafted by the Imperium's religious authorities to maintain control over the masses, with the Shrine Worlds playing a key role in reinforcing this fabricated mythology. The faith of billions has been constructed on the foundation of these sacred sites, and the implications of their true purpose being revealed would be cataclysmic. Another point of great intrigue is the sheer scale and grandiosity of the Shrine Worlds themselves. These worlds are not just ordinary planets. They are sprawling, complex environments filled with colossal cathedrals, temples, and monuments. The architecture is often considered an extension of the Emperor's will, designed to evoke awe and reverence. The grandeur of these structures is often discussed as a means of both spiritual enlightenment and political control. The sheer size and scale of the religious sites within Shrine Worlds are meant to remind the people of their place in the Imperium and the immensity of the Emperor's reach. However, there is also a darker side to this architecture. Many believe that these structures were not only meant to inspire faith, but to keep the people subjugated. The immense and oppressive nature of these buildings is a constant reminder of the power of the ecclesiarchy and the emperor, and how this power can be wielded to control and manipulate the masses. Furthermore, the role of the Adeptus Mechanicus in the development and upkeep of shrine worlds often sparks debate among fans. While the ecclesiarchy is focused on religious devotion, the Mechanicus is more concerned with the preservation and understanding of the ancient technologies hidden within these sacred sites. The Mechanicus sees these worlds not just as holy places, but as opportunities to recover lost technologies that could aid the Imperium. The Mechanicus has long been in search of relics, powerful artifacts, and ancient tech that could help secure humanity's survival in the galaxy. The shrine worlds, with their rich histories and mysterious technologies, are a goldmine for the tech priests of Mars. The constant tension between the religious duties of the ecclesiarchy and the technological pursuits of the Mechanicus is a fascinating aspect of shrine worlds, and much has been speculated about the friction between these two factions, each with its own vision for the future of the Imperium. Another aspect often discussed in the community is the role of the shrine worlds as centers of pilgrimage. The idea of pilgrimage is a fundamental part of human spirituality, and the shrine worlds serve as places where individuals come to seek enlightenment, redemption, and communion with the Emperor. However, there is a darker side to this pilgrimage. Many fans speculate that the ecclesiarchy uses the pilgrimage as a means of controlling and monitoring the masses. The sheer number of pilgrims who come to these worlds makes it an ideal way to keep track of the population, ensuring that there are no signs of dissent or heresy. The pilgrims are often subjected to rigorous tests of faith and devotion, and some even speculate that the ecclesiarchy may use the pilgrimage as a means of filtering out individuals who show any signs of rebellion or disloyalty to the Emperor. The pilgrimage, in this light, becomes less about spiritual growth and more about control, a way to reinforce the power structure of the Imperium. The mysteries surrounding the shrine worlds also extend beyond their religious and political functions. Many fans wonder what hidden knowledge lies beneath the surface of these planets. It is widely believed that the shrine worlds are not just centers of worship, but also places where ancient secrets are kept. These secrets are often hidden away in vaults, catacombs, or chambers deep within the sacred sites. Some speculate that these secrets may include forbidden knowledge from the dark age of technology, or even knowledge about the true nature of the Emperor himself. There are also rumors that these worlds hold records of experiments conducted by the Emperor in the distant past, experiments that have been erased from the history of the Imperium. The mystery surrounding these hidden records and their potential to reshape the understanding of the Imperium's history is one of the most captivating aspects of the shrine worlds. The involvement of the Inquisition also adds another layer of complexity to the mystery of the shrine worlds. As the secret police of the Imperium, the Inquisition has always been tasked with rooting out heresy and corruption. The shrine worlds, with their religious significance and vast potential for dissent, are under constant scrutiny. Many fans speculate that the Inquisition is aware of the secrets hidden within these worlds, and that they may be keeping these secrets from the public in order to prevent widespread panic. The Inquisition's role in maintaining the Imperium's stability while concealing the truth is one of the most intriguing aspects of the shrine worlds. Some believe that the Inquisition, or certain factions within it, are actively searching for ways to exploit the knowledge contained within the shrine worlds, either to further their own agendas or to safeguard the Imperium's future. The concept of the shrine world as a microcosm of the Imperium itself is also a frequent topic of discussion. These worlds are not isolated, self-contained places. They are part of the larger tapestry of the Imperium, and their fate is intertwined with the broader events of the galaxy. The shrine worlds serve as a reminder that the Imperium is not just a military machine, but a society built on faith, superstition, and devotion. The interaction between the religious and secular elements of the Imperium is on full display in these worlds, where the boundaries between the spiritual and the political blur. The fan community often speculates about the future of these worlds, wondering if they will remain sanctuaries of faith or if they will eventually become battlegrounds, as the forces of chaos and other enemies of the Imperium attempt to unravel the mysteries they contain. Finally, the secretive nature of the Shrine Worlds, with their hidden relics and ancient powers, is a constant source of speculation among fans. It is widely believed that these worlds are not merely religious centers, but are also places where forbidden knowledge is stored, where the past can be revisited, and where the secrets of the Emperor's true intentions lie hidden. The idea that the Shrine Worlds are more than they seem, places where ancient powers and technologies can be uncovered, is one of the most intriguing aspects of their story. This sense of mystery and the potential for discovery adds a layer of excitement to the lore of these worlds, as fans continue to debate what might be hidden within them and what the consequences might be if these secrets were ever revealed. The discovery of the hidden secrets of the Shrine Worlds is a matter of great importance, and the individuals who may become involved in unveiling these truths come from a wide range of backgrounds. Each has their own strengths, weaknesses, and motivations, but their fates are all intertwined in the pursuit of the dark knowledge that lies within these sacred worlds. Some are driven by power, others by duty, and some by a deep curiosity about the mysteries that have been buried for millennia. Among the most notable figures are the high-ranking members of the ecclesiarchy, those whose position within the religious hierarchy gives them direct access to the shrine worlds and their sacred sites. These individuals are often staunch believers in the Emperor's divinity, yet their blind faith can sometimes lead to contradictions when they are faced with evidence that challenges their beliefs. One such individual might be a high-ranking cardinal who has dedicated their life to upholding the sanctity of the Emperor's worship. Their deep devotion to the Emperor is matched only by their commitment to ensuring the integrity of the faith. However, their certainty is also their greatest weakness. If they were to discover the truth about the Emperor's past actions, it could cause an existential crisis, shattering their sense of purpose and identity. The Cardinals' loyalty to the Emperor is unwavering, yet they are not immune to the possibility of profound doubt if the revelation threatens to undermine everything they have worked for. On the other side, there are those within the Adeptus Mechanicus, the tech priests who guard the secrets of the past. These individuals are less concerned with matters of faith and more with the acquisition of ancient knowledge and technology. Their unrelenting quest for understanding the mysteries of the universe makes them ideal candidates for uncovering the lost truths hidden within the shrine worlds. A powerful tech priest, driven by ambition and intellectual curiosity, might be particularly well-positioned to uncover the artifact or the hidden chamber that holds the Emperor's lost secrets. Unlike the ecclesiastical leaders, the Mechanicus is less likely to be shaken by the revelation of the Emperor's true intentions, as their priorities are focused on knowledge rather than the sanctity of faith. However, their single-minded obsession with discovering lost technologies could be a double-edged sword. The tech priest might uncover secrets far more dangerous than they anticipated, possibly exposing themselves to corruption or drawing the attention of darker powers. Their flaw lies in their relentless pursuit of understanding, which can sometimes blind them to the moral implications of their actions. The Inquisition, always a shadow over the Imperium's darkest secrets, has its own array of powerful figures who might uncover or suppress the truth hidden within the shrine worlds. Inquisitors operate with a cold, calculated mindset, driven by the belief that the Imperium's survival outweighs all else. Their knowledge of heresy, corruption, and the forces that threaten the Imperium makes them the perfect candidates for delving into the hidden mysteries of the shrine worlds. An Inquisitor with a particular interest in uncovering the truth behind religious manipulation or imperial secrets could be a key player in discovering the hidden chamber or artifact. Their sharp intellect, combined with their ruthless determination, allows them to navigate the political and religious complexities of the Imperium with ease. However, their strength also lies in their ability to see threats where others cannot, and they are unafraid to use extreme measures to eliminate potential dangers. This makes them both an asset and a danger to the Imperium. The Inquisitor's weakness is their tendency to view everything as a potential threat, which can sometimes lead to paranoia or the destruction of valuable information that could have been useful if handled differently. The Adeptus Astartes, the Space Marines, might also find themselves drawn into the discovery of the secrets within the Shrine Worlds. Though their primary purpose is to defend the Imperium, they are not immune to the allure of uncovering the truth, especially if it involves the Emperor. A particular chapter might have a deep connection to the Shrine World, either through its history or its sacred role in the Imperium. The captain of a Space Marine chapter could find themselves caught in a dilemma between their loyalty to the Emperor and their suspicion that something is wrong. Their unwavering devotion to the Emperor is both their greatest strength and their greatest vulnerability. Should they uncover the truth behind the hidden knowledge, they might find themselves questioning everything they have fought for. The captain's strength lies in their tactical genius and their ability to inspire loyalty and devotion in their brothers. However, their weakness is the inability to see beyond their own rigid sense of duty. Should their chapter come into conflict with the Ecclesiarchy or the Mechanicus over the secrets of the Shrine Worlds, it would tear their chapter apart. At the center of this mystery lies the possibility of a lone scholar or historian, one who has spent years studying the religious and historical documents surrounding the Shrine Worlds. This individual is often overlooked by the higher echelons of the Imperium, but their intellect and curiosity are unmatched. Driven by a thirst for knowledge, they might have stumbled upon fragments of ancient texts that hint at the existence of a hidden truth within the Shrine Worlds. Though they lack the power and influence of the ecclesiastical leaders or the tech priests, their deep understanding of history and lore gives them a unique perspective on the secrets that lie buried within these sacred sites. However, their weakness lies in their lack of influence and the difficulty they face in convincing the powerful factions of the Imperium to take them seriously. A scholar might uncover the truth, but without the support of the right individuals, they would struggle to make their discovery known. There is also the possibility of a rogue faction, a small group of rebels or heretics who may have their own reasons for seeking the truth. These individuals might not have the same power or status as the leaders of the Imperium's institutions, but they possess a dangerous desire to uncover the hidden secrets that have been locked away. This faction could be made up of former members of the Ecclesiarchy who have lost faith, or ex-members of the Adeptus Mechanicus who have grown disillusioned with their search for knowledge. Their goal might be to expose the truth to the public, regardless of the consequences. Their strength lies in their ability to operate in the shadows, avoiding the watchful eyes of the Inquisition and the Ecclesiarchy. However, their weakness is their lack of resources and the fragmented nature of their group, which could lead to infighting or capture by the Imperium's forces before they can achieve their objectives. Finally, there is the possibility of a more unlikely hero or villain, a high-ranking official or aristocrat with access to both religious and political circles. This individual could hold the key to unlocking the secrets of the Shrine Worlds, but their motivations might not align with the greater good of the Imperium. Perhaps they are driven by personal ambition, seeking to use the knowledge contained within the Shrine Worlds to further their own power. They might be able to navigate the intricate political landscape of the Imperium with ease, gaining the trust of powerful factions and unlocking the secrets hidden away. However, their own ambition and self-interest could ultimately lead to the destruction of the very foundation of the Imperium's faith as they attempt to use the truth for their own gain. In the end, the discovery of the secret of the Shrine Worlds is not just a matter of uncovering hidden knowledge. It is a matter of power, influence, and the motivations of those who seek to control it. Each of these figures, with their strengths and weaknesses, will play a critical role in determining what happens to the secrets that lie beneath the surface. Whether the truth is revealed or hidden away, for eternity will depend on who holds the keys to the knowledge and what they are willing to sacrifice to ensure that it remains locked away or exposed for all to see. The secrets of the Shrine Worlds are riddled with unsolved questions and theories that have long been discussed and debated within the Warhammer 40K community. These mysteries touch on everything from the Emperor's true intentions to the hidden powers within the shrine worlds themselves. What lies beneath the surface of these sacred worlds? Are they truly just places of worship, or is there something more lurking in the shadows? While some theories remain speculative, others are rooted in fragments of ancient texts, whispers from the Inquisition, and the ever-present search for forbidden knowledge. One of the most intriguing and contentious questions revolves around the true nature of the Emperor's involvement with the shrine worlds. While it is widely believed that these worlds were created as symbols of faith and devotion to the Emperor, some question whether the Emperor intended them to be much more than that. Could these shrine worlds have been part of a larger plan, one that was abandoned after the Great Crusade? There are theories that suggest the Emperor's original vision for the Imperium included the creation of these worlds as places where humanity could ascend, spiritually and technologically, to a higher plane. The idea that the shrine worlds were once intended to be the nexus of a grand project, one that could have involved the unlocking of psychic or technological potential, has sparked much speculation. Did the Emperor envision these worlds as stepping stones toward an enlightened future, one where humanity would transcend its limitations? Or were they simply meant to serve as places of worship, to consolidate his rule and reinforce his image as a god? The truth remains elusive, and the debate rages on. Another unresolved issue is the relationship between the Emperor's divinity and the true nature of his power. The official narrative holds that the Emperor, as the immortal, godlike protector of humanity, sacrificed himself for the greater good, leading to the establishment of the Imperium. However, there are whispers within the Imperium that question whether this narrative has been manipulated over time. Some theorists suggest that the Emperor's true nature is not divine, but rather the result of a long and complex process of experimentation, one that might have involved forbidden practices such as the use of the warp or psychic manipulation. This theory posits that the Emperor's current form is a result of extensive genetic or psychic tampering, and that the power he commands, while immense, is far more unnatural than the faith-driven doctrine suggests. Could it be that the shrine worlds were not just built to honor the Emperor, but also to keep these darker truths hidden from the masses? If such revelations were made public, would the very foundation of the Imperium, built upon the worship of a deity, crumble? A particularly contentious theory revolves around the role of the warp and its connection to the shrine worlds. It is widely believed that the shrine worlds were created to be sanctuaries, places of spiritual safety for the faithful. But could it be that the shrine worlds are actually connected to the warp in ways that are not fully understood? Some believe that the Emperor's involvement with the warp was not limited to the use of psychic powers for the good of humanity, but rather involved deeper, more dangerous experiments. These theories suggest that the Emperor may have tried to harness the warp's chaotic energies for the benefit of mankind, but in doing so, inadvertently opened gateways to entities and forces far beyond human comprehension. The shrine worlds, with their focus on relics and artifacts, could be more than just holy sites. They could be holding pieces of knowledge that tie directly into the warp, revealing secrets that the Imperium has fought to keep hidden. What if the Emperor's attempts to control the warp were far more dangerous than anyone in the Imperium realizes? Could these hidden powers still exist within the shrine worlds, waiting to be uncovered? The mysteries surrounding the relics found within the shrine worlds are another source of endless debate. While many of the relics are seen as holy objects, symbols of the Emperor's divinity and power, some question whether these artifacts are truly as benign as they appear. Could these relics, many of which date back to the Dark Age of technology, hold the keys to forgotten technologies or even dangerous knowledge? The Adeptus Mechanicus, ever eager to study ancient technologies, has long sought to unlock the potential of these relics. But the question remains, what if some of these artifacts are not meant to be uncovered? Could they be tied to lost knowledge that the Emperor himself sought to keep hidden? The fan community often discusses whether the relics within these shrine worlds could be the remains of failed experiments, or perhaps even the physical manifestations of long-lost technologies that have the potential to reshape the future of the Imperium. Another unresolved issue concerns the fate of the inhabitants of the Shrine Worlds. While the focus is often on the religious and political importance of these worlds, there is little attention paid to the lives of the people who call these worlds home. The pilgrims who travel to these worlds in search of salvation are often depicted as devout. But what of the everyday inhabitants who live there? Are they aware of the hidden truths within their world, or are they simply pawns in a much larger game? There are theories suggesting that the inhabitants of the Shrine Worlds are not as innocent as they appear. What if they are the descendants of those who were involved in the Emperor's original experiments, and their connection to the Shrine World is far more significant than simply being places of worship? Could these people hold the key to unlocking the true nature of the Shrine Worlds and the secrets they contain? The role of the Inquisition in monitoring the Shrine Worlds adds another layer of intrigue to the mystery. While the Inquisition is tasked with rooting out heresy, it is also responsible for ensuring that knowledge of the Imperium's darkest secrets remains hidden. What if the Inquisition is not just investigating potential heresy, but is actively involved in suppressing knowledge of the hidden truths of the Shrine Worlds? Some theorists suggest that the Inquisition, rather than being simply a force for the good of the Imperium, is an organization that operates in the shadows, actively concealing dangerous knowledge to maintain the status quo. Are they aware of the secrets that lie beneath the Shrine Worlds, and if so, why have they chosen to keep them hidden? The Inquisition's role as the guardians of the Imperium's secrets makes them a key player in the ongoing mystery surrounding the Shrine Worlds. Yet, their motives are not always clear, and many question whether their actions are truly in the best interest of humanity or whether they are driven by their own hidden agendas. The question of what would happen if the secrets of the Shrine Worlds were to be revealed is perhaps the most pressing issue of all. What if the truth about the Emperor's involvement with the Warp, his true nature, and the hidden knowledge of the Shrine Worlds were exposed to the public? Would the Imperium crumble as its foundation of faith and devotion is shattered? Or would the revelation of these secrets lead to a new understanding of the Emperor's purpose, one that might unify humanity in the face of the galaxy's many dangers? Some theorists suggest that the exposure of these truths would cause a fracture in the Imperium, as factions splinter over how to respond to the newfound knowledge. Others believe that the revelation could lead to a rebirth, as humanity embraces the true nature of its existence and begins to move beyond the rigid structures of faith and dogma that have defined it for so long. Ultimately, the unresolved questions and theories surrounding the Shrine Worlds reflect the complexity and depth of the Warhammer 40K universe. The mysteries of these sacred worlds are not just about hidden knowledge or ancient relics. They are about the very nature of humanity's relationship with the Emperor, the Warp, and the forces that shape the galaxy. These questions, though unanswered, continue to fuel speculation and debate within the fan community, ensuring that the mystery of the Shrine Worlds remains one of the most intriguing and compelling aspects of the Warhammer 40K lore. If the hidden secrets of the Shrine Worlds were never uncovered, the long-term consequences for the Imperium and the galaxy at large would be profound, both positive and negative. The presence of these secrets has shaped not only the trajectory of Imperial faith, but also the power structures within the Imperium. The hidden knowledge, if left undiscovered, would continue to preserve the status quo, but there are inherent risks and benefits tied to this scenario. In the grand scheme, the absence of these revelations would keep the Imperium's religious institutions intact, but at what cost? First, the most immediate and obvious impact of these secrets remaining concealed is the continued strength of the ecclesiarchy and the central role that faith plays within the Imperium. The ecclesiarchy would maintain its unchallenged influence over billions of souls who, perhaps unknowingly, rely on the sanctity and purity of the Emperor's worship. The Emperor's divinity would remain unquestioned, preserving the foundation of the imperial religion. For the masses, This certainty is essential to maintaining social stability in an otherwise chaotic and hostile galaxy. The faith of the people would remain a constant, unwavering pillar of the Imperium's identity, offering a sense of purpose and meaning in the face of overwhelming darkness. For the people of the Shrine Worlds, this would mean the continued reverence of their sacred sites. Pilgrimages would remain central to their way of life, ensuring that these worlds retain their significance in the eyes of the faithful. This could continue to have a stabilizing effect on the populations, preventing civil unrest or rebellion that might arise from doubts about the Emperor's true nature. The Shrine Worlds would continue to attract those seeking redemption, peace, and divine favor, acting as sanctuaries in a galaxy filled with war and suffering. These sites would likely flourish, maintaining their roles as sacred beacons, protected and defended against the myriad of threats the Imperium faces. However, the lack of revelation of these secrets would also mean that certain truths would remain locked away forever, and that carries both benefits and consequences. The Adeptus Mechanicus would continue its unyielding pursuit of ancient technologies and lost knowledge, but without the distraction of potentially dangerous secrets tied to the Emperor's past. The tech priests could focus entirely on acquiring and mastering technologies that are aligned with the present needs of the Imperium, without the risk of uncovering knowledge that could disrupt the faith-driven power structures. This could allow for a more straightforward technological advancement, avoiding the complications that might arise if the Emperor's experimentation with the warp or the history of his early intentions were to surface. The Mechanicus, then, could remain focused on its mission, seeking to unlock the lost secrets of the Dark Age of technology without being drawn into theological debates or power struggles with the ecclesiarchy. The continued concealment of these secrets would also allow the Imperium to avoid the fracturing that would likely occur if the truth were revealed. As long as the Emperor's past is left unquestioned, factions within the Imperium, such as the ecclesiarchy, the Adeptus Mechanicus, and the Inquisition, can continue to operate under a unified banner. The Imperium would retain its facade of unity, with the Emperor as the unquestioned leader, albeit a distant and godlike figure. This unity is a fragile construct, and the revelation of the truth would tear through it. But for as long as the secret remains hidden, the fragile peace between these factions would hold. The strength of the Imperium would be preserved, at least in the short term, as its power structures remain largely unchallenged. On the other hand, the long-term effects of this hidden knowledge being kept secret are not without drawbacks. The biggest risk is that the Imperium would continue to be built on a foundation of falsehoods, with the people never fully understanding the nature of the forces that have shaped their lives. While the people's faith might remain strong, it would be based on a lie, and the knowledge of this lie would never reach them. If the truth were to eventually come to light, it could cause irrevocable damage to the imperial order. In this way, the continued ignorance of the populace might ensure short-term stability, but at the cost of long-term integrity. The foundation of the Imperium would remain shaky, and when cracks inevitably begin to appear in the system, the entire edifice could crumble under the weight of its own deception. There are also the implications for the military arm of the Imperium. The continued preservation of the Emperor's image as a god would ensure that the Astra Militarum, the Adeptus Astartes, and other military forces would continue to fight in the name of this divine figure. This offers the Imperium strength, with its armies unified by their devotion to a higher cause. The Space Marines, for example, would remain loyal to the Emperor as a god-king, rallying behind the idea of the Emperor as the supreme godlike protector of humanity. But if the Emperor's true nature were revealed, it would cause confusion and division among these forces. Without the clarity of divine purpose, many within the military might lose their motivation or sense of duty, leading to a loss of cohesion within the ranks. The continued myth of the Emperor's divinity allows the Imperium to wield its military might effectively, but without it, the loyalty of its armies might waver. One of the subtler long-term consequences of the secret remaining intact is the stagnation of the Imperium as a whole. The Emperor's true nature has been hidden for so long that its concealment has bred a form of intellectual and spiritual stagnation. The truth about the Emperor's original plans, his attempts to control the warp, and his vision for humanity's future might have served as a catalyst for rethinking the direction of the Imperium. If these secrets were revealed, the people of the Imperium could potentially be given a choice: continue blindly following the old ways, or break free from the shackles of outdated beliefs and create a new path for humanity. The ongoing concealment of these truths ensures that this existential question will never be answered, keeping humanity on a trajectory that may ultimately lead to its downfall. In this way, the secret's continued existence offers temporary stability, but at the cost of growth, innovation, and the possibility of a future that could be radically different from the one currently imagined. Moreover, the stagnation is not just intellectual or spiritual, but also political. The continued control of the ecclesiarchy over the flow of information guarantees that the same old narratives are preserved. There is little room for reform within the Imperium as long as the Emperor's divinity remains unchallenged. The secrecy around the Shrine Worlds ensures that no serious political movement could arise to challenge the power structures of the Imperium. While this preserves stability in the short term, it also prevents the emergence of new ideas or changes that could be necessary for the survival of the Imperium in the long run. As long as the Emperor's divinity remains unquestioned, the Imperium will remain locked in a cycle of religious fervor and rigid governance that may make it less adaptable to the rapidly changing realities of the galaxy. Lastly, one of the more subtle consequences of keeping the secret of the Shrine Worlds intact is the potential to avoid further corruption by the forces of chaos. The Chaos Gods thrive on the instability of the human soul, and if the truth about the Emperor's past were revealed, it would shake the very core of humanity's faith in the Emperor. This, in turn, would open the door for the forces of chaos to further infiltrate the Imperium, weakening its resolve and opening it up to corruption. By keeping the truth hidden, the Imperium avoids an immediate crisis of faith that could easily lead to the rise of heretical movements, cults, and potentially even chaos incursions. While the Imperium is by no means immune to the threat of chaos, the continued myth of the Emperor's divinity acts as a shield against the forces of corruption, at least for the time being. In conclusion, the long-term consequences of the secret remaining hidden are a delicate balance of stability and stagnation. While the Imperium benefits from the continued belief in the Emperor's divinity, preserving its unity, military strength, and societal cohesion, there are significant costs. The continued concealment of the truth ensures the long-term survival of the Imperium as it exists today, but it also prevents the possibility of growth, change, and the questioning of old beliefs. Whether this balance of stability is ultimately beneficial or detrimental to the Imperium will depend on how long it can maintain the fragile myth upon which it is built.